Porter. Officer, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just like to ask everybody to please remain standing. The founder of Century Village, Irving Levy, passed away on the 31st of July, and I'd just like for him to be recognized for giving us this wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Good morning, my love. How you doing? I'm here.
We will have a law enforcement report.
Good morning. All right. How you guys doing today? I'm Lieutenant Shandon Hood. Oh, sorry, here we go. Hey, I'm Lieutenant Shandon Hood. I'm the District 3 Executive Officer. Captain Palenzuela, he had a couple meetings and then he had to go out of town, so he sends his regards. He will be, I'm pretty sure he'll be at the next meeting, but he wanted to say hello to you guys and just make sure I came here clean shaven and looking nice and smelling good for you guys. All righty. So Century Village, okay, here, beautiful community. And I am sorry for the founder's loss. I didn't know that, but I'm sorry for your loss there. So you guys had 275 calls for services, 40 cases reported. And let me explain something. With the 275 calls for services, those count as 911 hang-ups. Sometimes when the deputies come, we come no matter what. And when we say 40 cases reported, those are things that we actually had to document. So, you know, sometimes we'll come, let's say, loud barking dog. That counts as a call for service. We will show up. We may speak to somebody or say, hey, can you do this, do that? But we do show up. Primarily, most of the calls for service, like I said, were several 911 hang-ups, vehicle stops. Can you guys still hear me? They're good. Vehicle stops. And when I mean vehicle stops, that's traffic stop. Some of your... let me explain something about the traffic stop so you guys understand. We are still actively patrolling this community. One thing I want to be specific about is we are not patrolling this community specific because there's any major issues. What's going on in the county that I want you guys to be aware of that's going on in entire Palm Beach County is Palm Beach County has seen an uptick in vehicular homicides where people are being involved in car crashes where ultimately they don't survive those car crashes. A lot of those car crashes are caused by heavy speeding, running red lights, stop signs. So county-wide, we are, as an agency, focusing on traffic, okay? And we're focusing on traffic in neighborhoods and other locations just to kind of quell some of those issues because we guys want you guys to be safe. And the people in this community, from my understanding, when I talk to my deputies and my sergeants and other, we don't really have an issue with Century Village per se. But when we do traffic stops, we want to be mindful and protect the entire community, okay? So when you're seeing deputies out here and you're seeing traffic units out here, they're doing it for your safety, okay? So I want you guys to understand that. I think the last meeting it came up a little bit because there was an uptick. We're not specific for Century Village. We're trying to make sure that the village, the county, and the surrounding area is completely safe. So you're gonna actually see, and if you haven't paid attention to, you've seen more increased activity on Okeechobee as well. These deputies have been patrolling Okeechobee because when I just try to get in here, you can't even get in here without people speeding through and act like want to run that light right there. So we want to be diligent in making sure you guys are safe getting in and out of the community, okay? So that's one part of that. I'm going to go to some of the cases, and there was about 5 or 6 cases of note. On July 28th, in Century Village, we had a stolen vehicle report that deputies responded to and took care of. And that ended up being a little bit more civil. We had a Ring doorbell that was removed. That's one of those calls for service. Somebody took somebody's Ring doorbell off. I apologize about that. Somebody didn't want to get peeked at, so they removed the Ring doorbell, okay? Now, here's a big case. This is one of the cases that we want to talk about, that one of your commissioners came to me. We had a fraud case. Now, we've had several fraud cases in Century Village, okay? And that does happen quite often. But what's significant about this fraud case was the amount, okay? $300,000, okay? Okay, the victim stated that they had been communicating with a man over a dating website. So ladies, all right? I don't care how good he looks, all right? Okay. He can look like Tom Selleck from Blue Bloods. Don't give him the money, all right? But yeah, significant about that, it was on a serious tip, it was Bitcoin, gift cards, wire. So it was cumulative. It wasn't just cash transfer or check transfers, but this lovely lady was involved in where she was, provided this guy funds based on whatever he told her to make her feel comfortable giving her money. And it ended up being the totality of everything that she gave was $300,000. So it was a total, okay? So we have our investigators deeply involved in that, okay? And they are looking into that. There's some stuff that may be coming down the pike later for some information on helping you guys understand fraud cases, because that, unfortunately, that happens a lot, okay? Phone calls, the dating website for the county, that is not something new. I think this is the first time I've, at least looking at the report, I mean, I'm pretty new here, that I've seen it here where it affected Century Village. But those are the things, online, social media, that's the way to go. That's where the people date. And they're doing that. So we are doing that. Not only in Century Village, we have, PBSO has been very diligent in even helping our younger children in high school age, because they are getting scammed, not necessarily with money as much, but the new thing is they ask for pictures, okay? They ask for pictures. So if you ever get somebody online that starts to ask you to transfer pictures outside of money, don't do it. Whatever you got on Facebook, whatever you got on Instagram, whatever you got on Snapchat, if they can't see that, that's good enough, okay? Now, there's another report, and this is unrelated, and I want you guys to be aware of this, okay? A community, Golden Lakes. Are you guys familiar with Golden Lakes? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we recently had, and this is why I want you guys to be diligent here, we recently had a subject. I'm going to call him a gentleman because I'm around a lot of nice ladies, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him in front of you guys, okay? But we had a gentleman, a subject that was specifically targeting that community. And what makes it significant about what he was doing, he was burglarizing these elderly people's home while they were in the home, okay? So sometimes, in one case, we had a husband and wife that were on ventilators, and he went in their house in the middle of the night while they were there. Thank God he did not attempt to try to hurt them, okay? But from what we think, I can't get in the mind of a criminal, but I'm assuming he targeted these homes because he felt like he was less likely to come across a confrontation in the middle of the night if they got up or whatever. But the resources that Captain Palenzuela has here in this district and the sheriff provides for your community is the same resources that we provided to Golden Lakes, which was helicopters, canines, and we had detectives staking out that location for days until they located him. And they caught him in the act, okay? And he was captured. He was able to, and the deputies prior took his fingerprints and they were able to tie him. So that's a lot of the other stuff that you guys don't. But the main thing that I want you guys to be aware of, 2 points here, okay? One, you see the deputies that are patrolling with the green and white, the sheriff sticker on the car. We have that here. But we also have deputies that patrol your area that you don't know that are in unmarked cars. And if we have a situation and these people up here let us know of something, we will put resources in this community that you may not see, but they're here. And that was the case with Golden Lake. They were there and they were waiting for that guy. They had a helicopter on standby. They had dogs hanging out. They were ready for him to come. And if any of you here are affected with crime, we're going to give the full effort of the sheriff's office immediately, okay? Now, the other thing that I want you guys to be diligent about, part 2 of that point, is to do things to help us out a little bit. Locking your doors, making sure if your Ring camera is removed that you report it immediately, because that's evidence that we can use at a later time, okay? So you do things like that, and then this is the other thing, and I tell this all the time. You see something, hear something, you call. Everybody here knows, I'm pretty sure you guys know each other, maybe not by name, but you know the faces. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I've never seen that person in my community before, and I don't know why he's walking around. Give us a call. We'll come verify. If he's a nephew, a grandson, or a relative from New York visiting, we're fine with that. But if he doesn't belong in this community, we're gonna remove him immediately before he or she does something that we have to come back later that night and take a report for, and some of your valuables are missing, okay? So I wanna say that again? Well, I'll tell you this because it's gonna be an ongoing case, but I can tell you the simple aspects of that, ma'am. There were some door entries, there was possibly some window entries, there was possibly some unlocked doors, but seemed like he was very target specific. You know, everybody was pretty much primarily elderly. Well, I can tell you like this, he was young and athletic, okay?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and listen, with criminals, gated communities, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's communities, as a deputy and a detective, I've investigated it way down south that these communities had gates and security guards at every single entrance, and we had people that access the homes any way they want to. I mean, gates and even cameras don't completely stop a criminal. The goal is to try to discourage them, but it doesn't completely stop them, okay? Does anybody else have any questions? Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you this afternoon.
All right.
Thank you. I know everybody read the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Well, I need a motion and a second before you can,
Okay.
well, we need a motion on the minutes to accept the minutes and a second. All right, George, and who else? Sandy Levine. Okay. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Yes, on the treasurer's report, second line, it says we are losing money. We are not losing money, we're losing big or much bigger income. And this is a big difference because the principal is not hurting. It should be much bigger income instead of losing money.
Where is that?
Much bigger income.
Yeah.
You remember, we're talking about 250,000 that we're losing, whatever. So just the wording, it should be bigger income.
Where is that?
Anything else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ed.
This is the third month in a row. Hold on. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to see you all here. This is the third month in a row that when I read into the minutes, Richard Handelsman's view on CDs has been omitted from the minutes. I brought it up. This is the third meeting, and last meeting you said it would be in there, but I don't see it. And I think that's a gross negligence. The minutes are a legal document, and to omit it is not correct. I read it into
Sure.
the minutes, and for some reason, I can't imagine why, it's just being left out.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Joanne.
All right. Since this is the third time Mr. Grossman has brought this up, if you check the minutes after his first objection, I did look at the specific video, which anyone can go and look at.
I don't see him in these
The
minutes.
passage that he's referring to about Mr. Handelsman's notes being read in had to do with an officers' meeting. It had nothing to do with a delegate assembly request, and it was done for the officers' committee, and it was taken care of months ago. So I'm not,
It happened. Let's go back to the videotape.
no, we're not
as-
going to
Ed,
discuss
listen.
this. We're not.
Oh,
It's done.
All right.
On both sides.
Thank you, Joanne. A vote on the minutes to accept as presented.
You did it already.
No, we made a motion and we made a second. Everybody in favor? Thank you. Motion made by Richard. Okay. We're going to go right to business. We're going to discuss the appointment, the executive board voting on the acceptance of the contract with the South Canal. I need a motion, I need a second, and we're going to call for a vote. We have a quorum, yes, we do.
What is the number?
149.
We have 149 today?
Yes, sir.
That's wonderful.
So I'll entertain a motion. I need somebody to come up. We have microphones in the back, and we have microphones in the front. I need somebody to come up, state your name, and that you're making a motion to accept it.
Richard Handelsman, Plymouth 5, member of Executive Board. I move that we accept the Executive Board's recommendation. I will add that the first time we voted on it, we did not have information. We turned it down 10-4. Last Friday, we had the information necessary. We recommend acceptance of this drainage agreement 20-1.
Okay. Thank you. The second motion was by Bob Rivera.
It was second already.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Well, come up to the mic.
Come up. There's a microphone in the back, ma'am. You don't have to walk all the way up to the front.
I'd like to get a clarified on what that motion is.
The motion is to accept the agreement. Go ahead, ma'am.
Have there been any changes to the document that I read 2 months ago?
No.
But there was a change in language for the executive board?
No. The only thing that was added, we had a physical engineer's report.
Oh, okay. So it's still the same as it was 2 months
It's
ago?
exactly the same, yes. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, a couple questions that.
Speak into the microphone so everybody could hear you, please. Just,
Is this on?
yes, it is.
Okay. I don't understand why there's 3 different addresses for UCO in this paperwork, and as you said, it's been out for months. There's an address of 2201 West Drive in the recitals on page 1. On page 1 of 7 in the easement, it says the address is 82 Stratford. And in David's letter to the Palm Beach County, it says it's 2102.
Yeah, go ahead, Donald.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Yes, we did notice that. It's a Scrivener's error. 82 Stratford was the old location of the UCO office.
Right.
Over in, where now is the real estate office. So it's just, they pulled it from an old record.
Okay, so they're going to sign, everybody's going to sign and accept the incorrect information?
The information will be corrected, but it's a simple Scrivener's error and
It's a big
doesn't
error.
affect the substance of the agreement.
And the other thing, in the introduction of the attorney, they mentioned, which was a discrepancy, of Calder Homes. We're not doing any business with Calder Homes.
Yes, this question came up several times in the past week.
Oh, the week.
Coulter
okay,
Homes,
let me finish.
sure,
about that.
ma'am, go ahead.
Because we're doing business with KL Reflections Bay, LLC.
Correct. That would be a subsidiary of Coulter Homes.
No,
And-
it's a group, Calter Group, which is going to be the management company.
We understand that. And Rod has gone over that and said that that's appropriate.
That's appropriate. Interesting. I want to know why, in the agreement with the HOA, Reflection Bay, if they still remain the HOA that will end up with this, that on that 15% maintenance fee, they can put a lien on the property, but there's no mention that they'll get charged a late fee, interest fee, attorney's fees, or anything. It just put a lien on it and we never get paid. And there's no incentive to pay.
After lien, there's always legal action. So Rod, this was put together by our attorney, and he has told us it's okay to sign. We could do that. We could do that all day long. Just keep putting in safeguard after safeguard after safeguard.
Well,
But the
since
attorney
May,
assures us
all
that this is
stuff has never
sufficient.
been updated. My question also is, in 2003, you had an easement with Palm Beach County before they built that library, to bring their water into Century Village.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, so now and there was a title stating,
So what's your question, ma'am?
well, now we want the outflow, correct? We want
That's
it to go
correct.
out. Okay, and there hasn't been this is the easement that's going to make it go out.
It's an existing easement and historical drainage.
Then why did the Palm Beach County want to use Century Village?
I don't know, ma'am.
Wow. Because there's not been any changes between Palm Beach and,
Who the hell?
Not that I am aware of, ma'am.
okay. The amount of water that's going to be allowed, it just goes by cubic feet.
Cubic feet of water, that is correct.
Okay, but they just do it per second. And the volume, if you just do it in a 24-hour period, is millions and millions of gallons. And
That's
they have
correct.
okay, so they have no limit of what they can do.
Sounds like an engineering question, not to be answered by the man who calls the man that fills the potholes of Century Village.
Okay. Your time is up, ma'am. Richard, you have
3
something to
minutes.
say? You got 3 minutes,
3
ma'am.
minutes is enough.
Good. I was going to say, let's limit it to 3 minutes.
All right.
I just read 3 parts from the agreement on page 2 of 9. 5 days after we approve this, Coulter LLC will deposit $750,000 into an escrow account. The bottom of that page, any title review and court action shall be undertaken at Coulter's expense. They're going to pay and get their legal beagles on to get us the title. And finally, the lady mentioned the 15%. It says that the HOA shall have the power of lien for anyone, for any future homeowner that does not want to pay. As far as outflow, the engineer's report you have is 6 years old. That engineer's report said that expanding the pond, retention pond from 4 to 7 acres is more than sufficient. Coulter is going to expand it to 12 acres, which is overkill in a good sense. 12 acres of land. This island on which this building stands and the Duck Island next to it is 5 acres. The retention pond will be 2.5 times that size. So that's why I recommend we do this. We can't lose anything. We can wind up no worse than we are now, paying for it all. They are going to pay up to half, and in the future, and get us title. Thank you.
Okay. There's someone behind you, sir. Come on up.
Hi, John Malloy from Stratford. I have a letter here from Olga, and she asked me to read it because she was unavailable to come here today. Do you honestly feel that you know about the consequences of giving away the drainage rights? Can you guarantee that Century Village will not be susceptible to severe flooding and major hurricanes? The engineering states the survey was done and concluded that was based on present statistics and rain runoff with the expansion of the lake. We should be able to handle the water outflow. But the engineer does not mention that reality of climate change, which is creating more rain than the numbers he based his statistics on. We may be susceptible to severe flooding in the future. I don't believe Yuko, the engineer, or Rod Tennyson can guarantee that we will not be susceptible to flooding due to elevated climate change, and we do experience severe flooding. The engineer report from May 21st, 2021 states, the project area, which is drainage system, will remain as part of Century Village Drainage Basin, which ultimately discharges to the LWDD, the West Canal. This means Century Village will be legally responsible for all costs forever. However, $750,000 and 15% of the maintenance costs COLA proposes. I recommend that you choose to approve COLA's project. Do so with the condition that COLA share 50-50 with Century Village all costs relating to the drainage systems in perpetuity. One more thing, too. After we finish with the South Canal, you know what's going to come up next, and I brought this up. We have the North Canal, too, that they're going to
That's
step
being
up?
worked on.
Okay,
We're
they're gonna
working on
step up and say,
We're talking about the South Canal. Let's
Okay.
leave it at that.
okay,
All right, thank you.
all right.
Dan, you got something?
Yeah. Once we're at the Reflection Bay, what is the problem with the fence between Southampton and the new project? That means they said they don't want to put any fence between us. Does that mean that they can just walk in the village?
You have an answer for that, Donald? I don't know what he's talking about. Okay.
Good morning, Dan. Okay, so originally, when the golf course and Southampton and Greenbrier were built, there was no barrier, because the idea was it was a
Yes,
golfing
yeah.
community. You wanted to go out of your house and go golf in your golf cart. When the property became defunct, and Mr. Waldman, the owner, got a construction permit, he put up a construction fence, and that's what you're looking at now, that piece of junk behind all the buildings.
Okay.
And it's, we keep it up as best we can. My understanding of the Reflection Bay plan is there's to be some manner of barrier on
okay.
all around. Wall, fence, berm, shrubs.
Okay, so no free entry.
Yes, there's no way for a kid to come and swim in the pool, unless he's a monkey.
Okay. At this point, the motion is going up on the board.
I have one short to finish what I was supposed to do.
Ma'am, you had your time.
No,
That's
I
it.
didn't have but less than a minute. I just want to know why UCO is guaranteeing the title of Exhibit A, which it says on number 11 in the easement, and it says attached, and I think that just says Reflection Bay, 57 acres.
I have no idea. Give him the. Yes. Ed wants to talk. Go ahead, Ed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you're here. It shows there's an interest. But does that interest come with due diligence? I don't usually write, but I have to do it here. I don't think it's anybody's notion that I'm in favor of this at this time. But a lot hangs on the due diligence of you and the officers, which I maintain has not been done. I just heard what Mr. Israel calls Tupperware. I personally spoke to Kyle, the engineer at Simmons & White, and said, your report is qualified. Why is it qualified? Because we did not see many of the items that are in our engagement letter that UCO was supplied to us. What you got from an accounting standpoint is a compilation. You do not have the final engineering report. The next, I had a copy of what Mr. Tennyson said regarding title. Again, Tupperware. How do you know it's a what do you call it, a subsidiary of Coulter? It is an LLC, which has no liability to anybody except the partners. So I wrote this little statement. At the last meeting, I said, what are you rushing into?
That's right.
Excuse me. I like to read my statement.
It's not up.
Feels like that.
Just to bring you up to date, as usual, and this was directed to our mayor here. Niels has been very helpful, especially regarding UCO's offices turnaround with Reflection Bay. When I saw the offices, that means all except me. I am sure you're aware that just several months ago, the entire Delegate Assembly turned down a motion to move forward. More recently, within 2 weeks, the Executive Board reversed overwhelmingly to turn down the idea of granting rights to Century Village waterways. Without going into tremendous detail, what extends over 12 years of fighting with the idea of changing over 50 years of a way of life. Why is this so done? If nothing else, the facts are clear. David and his followers are acting in a non-diligent way. At the last Delegate Assembly, we were willing to have a vote with only 118 delegates deciding the fate of Century Village, West Palm Beach.
Okay, your time is up, Ed.
Your time is up a long time ago. I am not.
Your time is up, Ed.
I'm an officer, and if you keep this up, I'm going to turn your mic off. You don't want to hear the truth? The truth is,
Ed.
I'm talking, and
Ed,
and in addition,
yes, I know.
to Robert
Ed,
Rules,
the people want to vote. The delegates want to vote.
No, I am entitled.
We're going to call the vote for 5 minutes. You have your clickers. Please vote yes or no. Your time is up.
No, it's not.
Who makes the rules on the time? Oh, did you cut me off, huh?
How many units are actually going
As
in?
the spokesman, according to Robert's rules,
I don't know why UCO is guaranteed warranty title to Exhibit A. Exhibit A is reflection of A. So why do we own?
Now, all going, especially officers, are going
Don't point at me. Don't point at me. I was not, don't point at me. You're not giving them the facts. I didn't vote for it. You're saying something that isn't, it's getting out of line. Don't say all the officers. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, then take it away from him and let's go.
We're voting. We're voting. We're in the middle of voting. Yes.
I heard you, but he's still talking.
Well,
We're voting. They're voting right now.
Okay.
Fausto,
yes.
tell them how to use the machine.
Those of you that have clickers, just click once and make sure you vote yes or no. It's only going to work once, and the count is up on the board so you can see it. We can't, it's as far up as we can see. The number's all the way up on the top, in the right hand, on your right-hand corner.
That's the countdown
126 people have voted out of 149.
so far.
So far. We're up to 130. Keep voting, people.
I think everybody's voted, but it takes a while.
I know. We're up to 140 votes out of 149.
Fausto, I gave you 4 minutes.
I know you did. Still have 2.5 minutes, and 143 people have voted. In case someone can't see the board.
No one says they have to vote.
Does everybody see the number? Is there anybody that can't see it?
Stand up.
The number's right here. Everybody sees it? How many minutes are left out of the 5? 143.
Four.
What's the final count?
They haven't
We're up to 144. Yes, you can abstain if you want to.
Some have.
You have 50 seconds left. Thank you for your patience, delegates.
Message Rod, message Henry.
Okay, can we have the results, please?
I don't know. I had to go look with my glasses.
All right.
What do you want to know?
What's Kelly's last name? Jensen. Okay.
Announce the total, so they can all have the back, but some people in the front can't stand.
Okay. So for those of you that can't see, 144 people voted, 98 voted yes, 40 voted no, and 6 abstained. So it passes. Thank you. Okay. I have one more. We're going to make it a simple up and down vote. Last month, we lost our quorum. We have a gentleman by the name of Kelly Jensen that's been put on the executive board, and it's up to the delegates to vote him yes or no. So by a show of hands, could you say yes or no? He's been attending all the meetings, he's filling a spot, and he's representing the village. Just put your hands up, please, so we could see. Okay. All right. Who's got a question? He ran for the executive board. All his information was at the last, yes, it was in the Yuko Reporter. Yes. But he did have his bio in the paper, and he was the next one online at March's election. Okay. Anybody opposed to having Mr. Jensen go on the executive board? Thank you. Unanimous. Okay.
Mayor,
Here we go.
Mayor,
What?
bring the mayor up. He's gotta go.
Okay.
He needed 100.
Commissioner Weiss, would you please?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
What? I gotta go. You're gonna get your chance. I need to conduct business.
Excuse me.
I need to have the commissioner speak. You'll have your chance.
You needed a 2/3 majority, and you don't have it.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner Wise.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to see you on this August morning. As you know, we are rapidly approaching the height of hurricane season. So just a reminder, if you haven't gotten your supplies, there's still time. Make sure you've got enough medicines, food, and water that you're going to have on hand that will be able to support you for at least 5 days, but most people recommend 10 days. We saw what happened on the West Coast with Ian, and a lot of people were not able to get anything replenished for a number of days. So better to be over-prepared. you have a little extra stuff around the house, and then after hurricane season, hopefully we don't need it, but if we do need it, you're ready. That's number one. Number two, obviously with this heat that we've been having, not only here in South Florida, but around the country, really important to stay hydrated. If you're doing anything outside, be careful. Make sure you're staying hydrated and don't overdo it. You know, there's no need for that. Everybody needs to get through this safely. And then a couple things I want to share with you. Number one, I will be out of town next week. I'm going to California to see my mom. So, but Niels and my staff will be in the office. Niels is here. So if there's anything anybody needs, feel free to either call or email us, and we're happy to help out. And then the second piece of news I want to share with you, I think last time I told you about I was appointed to the National Association of Counties to head up their AI task force. I've been appointed now to also head up their Telecom and Technology Committee, and for the state of Florida, heading up the Broadband Expansion Task Force as well. So really getting into a lot of opportunities to help make our community better, but more importantly, put us in an important place to help direct policy, not only in the state of Florida, but the entire United States. And as always, what an honor and a privilege it is for me to be with you and to be able to serve as your county commissioner and as mayor for the county this year. And thank you, and delighted to be here. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them now. All right, have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll go to the officers' reports. Joanne, we'll start with you.
I don't have much to say other than thank you very much for cooperating with our clicker program, and I'm hopefully we'll continue to use that and make it a little easier as we go along. But other than that, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Stuart.
First off, I'm saddened to see a bunch of people walk out of the Delegate Assembly because the officers have not made their reports, and I think it's very sad that we may have something very important to tell you, to convey to you, when they walk out and they don't have that information to pass on to their residents that they represent. It's quite sad. I woke up this morning listening, as you all know, I do the column for Old Time Radio, and I woke up this morning listening to Gunsmoke. And the comment that was on the radio said, "What did you wake up to this morning?" Well, I woke up to the radio, and he passed a comment saying that there were about 8,000 radios in the United States that had automatic turn-ons that people use the radio to turn on so they could wake up in the morning. And I looked around and I said, well, my TV was off, so this represented a period of time way before television. But I looked out the window and I saw the sun rising, and it was incredible. And I said to myself, how wonderful it is to be living in Century Village, to get up every morning, put your feet on the ground, and look out and see this wonderful sunrise. So I think we're really very, very lucky. Another comment, the police made a comment about scams. In the last 6 months, 4 major books, detective stories, were written on scams and how popular scams are. And in the preface of one of the books, it said, observing a con artist is like watching a magician perform. And when we read about the cons and the movies that are made that are so popular, there is somebody out there all the time wanting to take something away from you, and you really got to stay on top of it. Don't be a victim. And that's one of the points that I wanted to make. The other is, the last couple of days we've been getting calls from people who are not living in Florida, but are checking on people who they cannot get in touch with in units that here in the Century Village, and they asked us to send somebody over a wellness check to check them out. I suggest that you look around, and if you don't see an elderly person after a couple of days, do something about it. Knock on their door, check on it. I know it's easy to do that in a 16-unit building. A 24-unit maybe is a little bit more difficult, but the larger buildings, you have enough people living there. If you don't see a person that you normally see, knock on their door and check it out, because they may be a victim of whatever, and it's not fair that we don't check on the people who live, our neighbors. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Patricia.
Good morning. I agree with Stuart. Unfortunately, a few years ago, the lady on the ground floor, her children said they checked with her every day. Apparently, they did not. She lied on that floor 2 days before she passed away. So I make it a point, if I don't see someone, and I have 56 units in my building, there is one woman in particular I keep checking on. I say, will you please check with me? Because I haven't heard from you, seen you, and I get worried. It only takes a few seconds, it really does, and I feel better about it, because that death should have never happened. On a happier note, I love the summer. I love the heat. I had many vacations this year. I came back recently and still recovering. My age is showing. I went away to celebrate with my daughter my upcoming 80th birthday. We went to Europe, and I've been to New York twice, Jersey, and so forth. I'm back. I'm safe. Traveling was horrible. People are rude. They cut you off. It was torrential rain. The smoke from Canada was awful. So I'm happy to be back in West Palm Beach. One last thing, I don't like to go on. Please don't get angry at me if you don't agree with the new bus schedule. We keep tweaking it and changing it for the majority of people. There are a few people who insist I make a stop somewhere. I can't do that. It's not my company. They're not going to keep changing the schedules to accommodate a handful of people. The majority of changes were made by a great deal of people that worked together, brought me in a stack like this. If you bring in one complaint to me that you don't like a particular stop or you want me to add it, it's not going to work. The Academy Bus Company will never listen to me for a couple of changes. So please, if there's something you don't like, well, let's work together. Come in and speak to me. Send me a note. I can't take it by telephone calls. They will not accept that. They only accept written complaints or suggestions. Take care, all of you. Be safe, and God bless you.
Thank you, Patricia. Donald, CAM report. Pass the microphone.
Morning, everyone. Two things. First, earlier at this meeting, we talked about South Canal and the eventual dredging of that canal, which is very important to the community. Later this afternoon, some of us will be talking about North Canal. I'm sorry, Ed, that's a little distracting. Would you mind? Anyway, later today, there'll be a meeting at the mayor's office set up by the mayor between UCO officers, our attorney, Dave Israel will be present, and officials from the water company and the county attorney. And this is going to be to discuss the disposition of that canal, which is also way overdue to be dredged. It's a critical piece of infrastructure. That parcel, which stretches straight across all of Century Village from Haverhill to almost the Turnpike, has a little bit of a complicated ownership history, and that's going to have to be straightened out. So this is kind of the first meeting where we're all gonna talk and try to get whatever needs to be fixed, and then hopefully that'll be the first step of dredging that canal. Second thing is, and this is a sad announcement. The builder of Century Village, H. Irwin Levy, has passed away. And I know many of us, like me, are multi-generational residents of Century Village, and there's a reason for that, because this is a good place to live. So I hope you'll all remember him in your prayers, because this is a good thing he built for us, and I'm happy to be here personally. That's all I have for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you. Hit me.
Come up to the microphone,
Come on, come
please.
to the mic. You're loud, but you're not that loud.
A couple of days ago, my neighbor had a furniture delivery.
Yeah.
And I understand you can't put out the furniture until certain parts of the week.
Thursdays, 24 hours before.
Okay,
Yeah.
but is there any way to accommodate, because the furniture people were going to take the furniture down, but they couldn't because they had to wait and they want to get fined or anything. Is there any way you could accommodate that, especially now the snowbirds ain't here? When the snowbirds were here, the place was out of control with every garbage all over the place.
Sure, and this is something that your board can certainly make that accommodation. Very simple. Call the number on the dumpster and say, I'd like a special pickup. Somebody's going to have to give a credit card.
All right,
or,
but that's what I'm saying. See what you're saying is someone's going to have to give a credit card. That's not fair.
Well, nobody works
Why
for
can't
free.
you accommodate for you guys to do it maybe once every other week or something? Have the truck go around and see furniture? Why do we have to pay for it? Or why does the old lady
I don't know.
have to-
Why should you pay? Would you like me to pay, sir?
No, sir. Of course not. I don't want you to pay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just asking you a question. Is there any other way you can accommodate the people?
No.
Because
There's
no way you could do that.
I'm sure there is, but I think there'd be very little support here at UCO to pay for individual unit owners'
Well, it's
garbage problems.
it's not individual. It's an association. I understand.
Right.
But there's no way you can accommodate for the pickup to come maybe another day a week.
Actually, that's a good question. I'm being cute, but
Okay.
but actually, this is a good question. We did at some point
Okay.
approach the vendor and ask for a different pickup day.
Okay.
And we got a firm no on that because it kind of upsets the entire complex cuckoo clock that is Palm Beach County's
Yeah, it
garbage.
kind of upsets the routes. All right,
Yeah, exactly right. As
Sure.
far as having a second day for bulk pickup, that is a possibility. The community would have to be willing to pay for it, but could it be done? Yes, I believe it could be.
Okay, I just want to bring that to your attention.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
You're done?
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Donald. We'll go to Ruth. Update on the UCO reporter, please.
Good morning, all. I shall be very brief. For the 6 months ended June, we are ahead $6,000 or $1,000 a month. We've picked up a few new ads, lost a few for the summer, but so far, so good. Please send copy. We'd like to diversify the paper. We don't want it to become a penny saver. We want information, stories, etc. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next month.
Thank you, Ruth. Ed, you're up. Treasurer's report.
Hello. Thank you again, Donald. Treasurers work with numbers, and I just did a quick count. The 149 people checked in. Our bylaws, and you have Mr. Richard here, says that you have to have more than 2/3 of the people in the room. 2/3 of 149 approaches 100 had to vote.
Okay.
You only got 98, so according to our bylaws, it did not pass.
Ed, you only needed 95 yeses.
No, listen.
2/3 of 149. That's what you needed.
Yeah, how much is a third?
96. And you
No,
got 98.
A third of 150 is 50. You have 149. Okay. People don't know how to add. It's simple. You had 149 people. who checked in. Take a third of that, multiply it by 2, you needed 100. Let's go on. Let's go on.
Point of order.
The next thing is,
Point of order. I never said you needed 2/3 vote. As far as I know, 2/3 is required only for removal of an officer and amending a bylaw.
Should be a simple.
It is not required for this vote.
I believe.
Simple majority.
however, I recall very vividly that we had a vote here, and it wasn't 2/3, and you got up and said you need 2/3. Okay? So I doubt that is true. We will go back and look at it. The next thing is, unfortunate, to me, just so you know, the most important thing has been that my wife is back home after being out since February 2nd, and the rest becomes secondary. However, in the regard to the report, once again, I'm sorry to report, unless something changed, it's incorrect by a certain amount, possibly $35,000. I looked at the one I had, I sent it to Chris to correct. He said he didn't think he could correct it. But basically, you're still in the black. However, we're still losing money. And that's because, as I said before, one of the major items was undercalculated. We will get the right number when we get to the end of the story. And part of that error is because of the lack of controls at UCO. So we're liquid. What am I talking about? There was a bill left out for $35,000. And I'm looking at that bill, we'll discuss it later. But basically, we need better controls and have a happy and a healthy and a good summer. Life will go on. I will recheck what Mr. Richard said at another meeting. Take a look at the thin margin. That's up to you.
Donald, do you wish to address that final bill that he's talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know what it is.
The vendor didn't send us a bill.
Does any, yeah, yeah, sure. That $35,000 bill was an invoice from Atlantic Southern Paving, who does, remember I said I'm the man that calls the man that fills the potholes? They're the men that fill the potholes. They've got to send us an invoice. So when it popped up, we checked, made sure it was a payable, and we got that paid. So that's pretty much all it is. Thank you, everyone.
Go ahead, Dan.
That bill is not acceptable. It has, from 2 months, 3 months before, there's no documentation. There's nothing there that says, how come you didn't bill? What is the details? It just said, didn't bill, didn't bill, didn't bill. That's no way to do business.
Okay.
I don't think you would be able to survive. So a bill is supposed to have documentation. Not I forgot to bill you. Not I forgot to bill you. Let's go on. We'll check that again.
Dan, go ahead.
Okay. Ed, this is a big difference, and the difference between losing money and losing income. The chair said that we are accepting the minutes as presented, not as corrected. Now I'm asking you, are we losing money or are we losing income? The $250,000, you said that we are losing because we are not doing certain things.
Well,
are we losing money or losing income?
You're definitely losing income. You could equate that to money. You know, we've asked for many times, and in writing, the written statement that Mr. Tennyson said to our illustrious Cam here, that we can't buy CDs until October for the...
Are we losing income?
Excuse me, I'm answering you.
Okay.
CDs until we put it in the budget. Well, if I had that kind of foresight, you wouldn't see me here. I mean, how could you even say that makes sense? You can only exercise something from a financial standpoint which makes sense. The answer is simple. Where is his text to Donald saying that? I would like to see that Mr. Tennyson really said that, and if he did, I'd still challenge him because we've done it before and it's been done again.
What I'm saying is,
The bottom line is we're losing money. Now you were talking 200,000-300,000. Here you're talking 2-3 million. We'll have to, you know the famous story? Here's a quick famous story. An accountant is being interviewed
Are we
by
losing
a
any
new,
of the principle?
accountant is being interviewed by a new client. And the client says to him at the end, how much is 1 and 1? And without even blinking, the accountant says, what do you want it to be? That's what's happening here. Whatever you want it to be, it becomes.
Okay. Dan, I'm sorry you didn't get your answer. Go ahead, Bob.
I didn't get my answer. Are we taking it by correction or not?
There's no correction to be made.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject. All right. Yeah, you may not like my subject. I'm going to once again reiterate the fact that this Delegate Assembly has voted to get an engineering report on getting speed tables in the village. It still has not been done, has it? Donald? Okay. We voted for this months ago. We said that we would do it. It's not being done. I'd like to see it done in the next 30 days. All right? Does anybody else agree? Okay. Second thing that I'd like to say. Speed table, all right, it's not a speed bump. All right? It goes up, you go horizontal for a little bit, then it goes down. All right? Now, one of the arguments that I hear about this is that fire engines don't like them. I've talked to the fire department, they don't have a problem with it. All right? I want to slow down the traffic here. Second thing I'd like to mention, all right, our illustrious president, David Israel, has not been to a delegate assembly in, 7 months now? Maybe 8? All right. If he's going to be the president, and if he's going to be doing it via Zoom, then I think that he should be up there on the laptop. All right? I personally think he's not been doing his job. He's letting other people do it. I think it's time to ask him to step down and let Fausto take over. He's doing the job anyway.
Okay. We have anything for the good of the order? George, go ahead. Come up to the microphone.
The results for the pill drop program pulled 134 pounds. All right, and it's my understanding there's going to be another one in a couple of more months. So those of you that missed the last one, just hang on to that stuff. Please do not throw it down your toilet. Do not throw it down your sink. Just hold on to it, and we'll get rid of it for you.
Thank you. Sir? Step up to the microphone.
God bless you all. Namaste. I came late, but I was here 5 years ago. My name is Shri, S-R-I. I've stayed in this village for about 6 years. I was here about 5 years ago when David Israel was still there. I guess not there today, but. And there was also the town people were here, and I said to them, the path from here to Publix by walk and bicycle is dangerous because there are no lights. So if you go, the lights are on the wrong side. The lights are on the side where there's no sidewalk, right? And I asked for the lights, nothing has happened. Now someday somebody's going to sue us, somebody, because it's extremely dangerous to walk or bicycle to the publics. And we should go green. All of you, I'm not a delegate, but all of you should try to go green. If you haven't read the book, you will be killed by the heat first. It's a very interesting book. So the earth is being scorched, as we know. And we must do our part to go green, which means we should allow bicycles and walkers and make it easy for them to do that. They are better than those who take the bus. Our bus should go electric or hybrid or something that's more efficient than noisy diesel bus. Diesel is extremely carbon-emitting fuel. Thank you for listening.
Les?
Hi, Les Rivkin, Stratford J. Also the president of the Democratic Club of Century Village. I want to remind you all that if you have not already asked to renew your vote by mail, you need to do this or you will not be able to vote by mail. Also, as a society, we seem to be getting less respectful than we used to do. Especially with Mr. Grossman, there seems to be a lot of disrespect. I ask you to consider yourself being up on the dais, and how would you like to be treated? One other issue is that we have the pill drop. I would like to see us have a recycling setup for batteries. You have to drive a long way. You have to find out where they go. It would be really nice if every so often we had that here. Thank you.
Jerry?
Okay. As I diligently read Donald's LCAM report every week, there are just two things I want to bring up to everybody. One, if you read Donald's report, there was a building partial collapse in the easement, I think, of a building the other week. And more importantly, there is going to be a meeting, I think August 22nd, and maybe you could elaborate it on, with regard to the new law that's coming down from Tallahassee with regard to 3- and 4-story buildings and the financial implications of that. And I think anybody who lives in a 3- or 4-story building should attend that meeting, because your budgets are going to really be determined about what you have to do with the reserves at that meeting. So maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit more, Donald?
Hi, Jerry. Thank you. Yes, our insurance agent, Phil Massey, Assured Partners, thought it'd be a good idea to have a webinar where he would, from a point of expertise, let the boards know what they can be expecting and what they'll be expected to do over the next year or so. I'm glad to send out the web link. It's a virtual meeting to anybody who, and I really think it's a good idea for everybody to attend, regardless of whether you're a 3-story or up building or not, because I think that a lot of these new regulations will eventually hit us all. So it doesn't hurt to sit for an hour or so and listen to Phil. He'll have some other experts there as well. If anyone has trouble with webinars or Zoom type things, we'd be happy to set up our conference room so you could sit there and watch the meeting if you need to. All right, so if you need a link or if you need to make an appointment to sit with us to watch the meeting, just send me an email, yukomaintenance@gmail.com. Happy to accommodate you. Oof. And that's it. Thank you.
Yes, Mary.
My name is Mary Spear. I'm from Sheffield F. And I think that if we can only invest treasuries once a year in October, that needs to be changed, because as of last week, interest rates are now at 5.25%, and we need to be earning that money, not just waiting until October. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Susan Canzel from Dover. I'm a dog walker, and it's come to our attention that wildlife has become a little bit more rampant within Century Village than I've seen in the past. coyote was seen taking off a family cat. We've seen cougars within, and I was warned by the people over in Suffolk, this is the norm. They hear them howling over the fence line. I'm a little bit more aware because I bicycle, I take breaks, I walk my dog, so I feel a little more susceptible to the wildlife. The question is, who do we call? What can be done? There's an alligator that we see every morning, and it appears that the trappers can't seem to find him. We're like, hello, he's right here. How do we help with this issue? Not that we don't want to see them, we just don't want them to eat our cats.
Susan, I saw you looking at that alligator the other day, by the way.
He's posing. He wasn't afraid of nothing.
No, he's a slippery fellow, and he's mobile. I guess because the high levels of the lake right now. It's the same alligator, and he's been in 5 different places. There is a trapper. There's a permit that tends to happen at night, but short of throwing a harpoon at him in the middle of the day, which I don't think the trapper wants to do. He's on it. Eventually, he'll get him. As long as nobody's throwing him chicken cutlets, he'll get caught. Your other question was about coyotes, and I'm not going to even answer the cougars because I don't think that's actually true. That would be news. That would be in media.
It was
that
on
would be
next door. So.
A cougar would be exactly next door. That would be a Florida panther, and a sighting would be notable. There'd be biologists crawling around here. But as far as the coyotes, just so everybody knows, nothing new here. We've always had coyotes. Some of you see that I'm up quite early in the morning, and I regularly saw them since I've been here. What's happening now is because people have the Ring cameras all over the place, they're picking up the pictures of the coyotes. Imagine waking up in the morning and seeing who's looking for somebody stealing your Amazon package, and you see a coyote go by. So suddenly reports are coming in because there's awareness. And next door, of course, is I did contact Florida Wildlife. Basically, I didn't get any love there. What I heard was they're not a threat to people.
But your kitty
they're
cat is a
natural
family member,
and
let's be clear.
They're a natural thing. They've been here before us, and for the most part, ignore them. They ignore you. They are elusive.
Well, Suffolk says they'll sit out at night and they hear a pack. It's not just 1 or 2 now. It's created a bit of a pack.
Yeah,
and
I
they
got that.
howl.
I got that.
So
I
it
got that
seems to be
audio tape.
growing.
Somebody sent me that audio clip, and it's a phony baloney clip. Someone else sent me that clip about 2 years ago from Greenbrier, and it's the exact same clip. So I get that from time to time. But yeah, we're aware of the coyotes. We don't have the real problem is when the coyotes interbreed with domestic dogs. They become coy dogs. That's a problem, and so far we've not seen that here. So we're aware of it. We'll keep an eye.
Dan?
Yes, Bob Rivera gave up a good point here about the president. Can the president function 100% of his duties? I understand that you cannot answer because you might be involved in this, but what is happening with him? Can he function 100% of his duties? Or?
Hey, Fausto, being that it's you, why don't you let me take that one?
Absolutely.
Hey, Dan, just so you know, and I know this is not apparent to people because you're not here every day, but Dave is fully involved in the governance of UCO. All the meetings are attended via Zoom. If you know Dave, you know that he mostly communicates with people by email, and would be the same.
100%.
Okay. Yeah, as far as I could say that with certainty, and I bring him his paperwork back and forth. Oh yeah, I mean this afternoon he will be attending the meeting with the mayor. It's an important meeting. As far as when he will return, I expect that will happen at some point. He had a major fall, so he's recovering.
You said mayor. Are we in a city or something?
No, here in Palm Beach County.
The county.
Here in Palm Beach County, the senior county commissioner, who is basically it's a ceremonial thing. The other commissioners make him the mayor, and he presides at the meetings.
Yes, sir.
Just want to tell you a quick story for those who are afraid of the alligator. I watched this alligator. Eva told me before that alligators are kept here only when they're babies because they come here to deliver usually, and then when they become big, they're taken away. That's, I think, the policy here. But I was watching this baby alligator. They're outstanding animals, outstanding swimmers. So I went and stood in front of the alligator, near below the bridge, and the alligator came towards me, and then it just turned back. So they are not going to hurt us unless you hurt them. And this is true about snakes, alligators, lions. If you don't hurt them, they don't usually hurt you because they're not looking for human flesh.
Thank you. Marilyn?
Repeating the same thing, and the same people keep getting up and talking and saying the same damn thing. Let's move along.
Well,
Do you want to adjourn?
do we have anything else for the good of the order? No? I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Richard to adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.
Seconded by Dan. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for coming.